Ladies and gentlemen, the Chancellor of the University of Johannesburg welcomes you to this graduation ceremony. Due to security reasons, you are requested not to leave the auditorium before the end of the proceedings. Please note that photos and videos must be taken from your seats. Please do not get up and walk around inside the auditorium. As soon as the procession leaves the auditorium, you are requested to rise and remain standing until the procession and guests of honour have left the auditorium. A kind yet important request. Please only applaud after the student's name has been read out, and only applaud until the student has been capped, in order to give other graduates the opportunity to have an audible readout of their names. Please also note that no whistles are allowed for applause, only clapping of hands and ululating. A final request. If you have a cell phone in your possession, please switch it off or put it on silent. Ladies and gentlemen, the procession will now enter the auditorium. You are requested to rise and remain standing until the members of the procession have taken their seats.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is our great University of Johannesburg's amazing award-winning choir. I think whenever they decide or make a prize, this university choir actually wins it. So a big round of applause, please. I did say award-winning, right? Chancellor, our Executive Dean of the Faculty of Humanities, members of Senate, academics, graduates. I thought we were here for graduates. Graduates! And of course, guests. You did bring guests, right? On behalf of the Council, the Executive Leadership Group, and the staff of this amazing university, I welcome all of our graduates and your guests to this graduation ceremony. Graduates, today is a momentous occasion for you, for your loved ones, and for your entire community that supported you. Graduation symbolizes both endings and beginnings. They remind us of our past and also our dreams for the future. Your achievement is worthy of celebration, regardless of where you are or what your future holds. Our Chancellor, Dr. Phumzile Mlambo-Ngcuka, has on various occasions reflected on the transformative power of education in creating opportunities, in advancing gender equality, and in furthering societal development. In the context of our nation, your accomplishment carries considerable weight. Many of you are also first-generation graduates, which makes this achievement even more significant. Your graduations represents the dreams of many, including those who have supported you. It really symbolizes hope for a new generation. Ladies and gentlemen, it's quite hard to believe, but our university is only 20 years old, and if you cast your eye up there, you will see the special logo for our 20-year anniversary. UJ was established in 2005 as part of the post-apartheid transformation of the South African higher education landscape. And we have rapidly emerged as a beacon of academic excellence and of innovation. In only 2 decades, our university has achieved remarkable milestones, including securing prominent positions in global university rankings. We are ranked as the #1 university in South Africa and also the #1 university in Africa when it comes to contributions to the in terms of contributions to the Sustainable Development Goals, and I think that really is remarkable. We have also adopted our Strategic Plan 2035, and that plan really sets out our roadmap for the next 10 years, and foregrounded in that plan is societal impact. Amid today's celebrations, remember that you are graduates amongst the fortunate few to have been afforded this opportunity, and your graduation, therefore, carries the promise that you will share your knowledge to enrich and to deepen our democracy. It serves as a reminder of our nation's shortcomings, but I think more importantly, you provide us with the tools to address these shortcomings for the betterment of society. Our university has also been leading in the field of digital transformation. UJ was the first South African university to award certificates which are actually secured by blockchain technology. The more I look up what blockchain technology is, the less I understand what it really is. But it sounds very impressive, and it is. I mean, it secures our It secures our certificates. Graduates, you also have access to our digital certificate system. And on that system, you can download your certificate, digital certificate, free of charge, so you can keep it and save it on your laptop. So the one that you get today here, the hard paper copy, frame it without fear, because you wouldn't need to unframe it to make copies. You have a digital certificate. Moreover, you will also have access on that same platform to a digital badge, which you can place on LinkedIn. And when people then view your LinkedIn page, which I'm sure you all have, right? You must move from TikTok now to LinkedIn. Okay, the badge works on LinkedIn. So when you put the badge on LinkedIn and people view your page, they click on that badge, it'll actually verify your qualification back to the university. We also welcome you, and this is very, very adult, as new members of our global alumni community. Did you ever think you would be alumni? That is very, very old and very adult. On your Alumni Connect platform, you can connect with other graduates. You can view employment offerings. This is where this side, applauds for the viewing of employment offerings, and connect with possible mentors, and I really urge you to make the most of that. In closing, there are many, many fantastic African proverbs, but the one I think that is very apt to our session today goes as follows. Wealth, if you use it, comes to an end, but learning, if you use that, will only increase. Congratulations on this significant achievement, graduates. We are very, very proud of you. Thank you, Ria Leboga, Siyabonga, baie dankie. Chancellor, I now request the Executive Dean to introduce the faculty to you. I almost said the Faculty of Engineering. No? Humanities, right? You are humanities? Yes. Okay, that was a joke. I'm just testing to see whether you are awake. The Faculty of Humanities, and thereafter all the candidates who have complied with the requirements for the respective qualifications.
Chancellor, I have the honor of introducing the Faculty of Humanities. I would like to welcome all our guests, graduating students, parents, family members, friends, and fellow academics. This is indeed a wonderful celebratory event. The Faculty of Humanities is excited to begin semester 2 of the 2025 academic year. This year marks the University of Johannesburg's 20th anniversary, and the faculty has much to celebrate. Over the past 2 decades, Humanities at UJ has strengthened its scholarship, engaged in curriculum transformation, produced impactful and noteworthy books and publications, and built more international partnerships and opportunities for students than ever before. Our staff have won national and international awards in teaching, research, and community engagement. We have been at the forefront of public intellectual work and change management. 81% of our current academics have doctoral degrees, and all are specialists in their fields of teaching. It is in this vibrant space that we challenge our students to strive for excellence. Here, we encourage not just personal accolades, but achievements that are societally focused and that are intended to contribute to national objectives. We impress upon students the need to recognize societal complexities and to nurture the skills and mindset to make a difference in society and the world of work. Our programs, both undergrad and postgraduate, guide our students to become reflective, socially aware, and independent thinkers. Over the 2025 enrollment period, a total of 6,567 students were registered in our faculty. Many of our students take opportunities to do more than their mainstream courses. They complete, amongst others, short courses on artificial intelligence, African insights, sustainable development goals, and even financial literacy. All our postgraduates have been exposed to research methodologies and research writing, which will help them in their future work, probing their social, political, and economic issues and crises that mark the world today. Our faculty has 13 departments, 2 NRF South African research chairs, 10 research centers, and 2 research institutes. The subjects we teach are broadly within 4 clusters: the humanities, the social sciences, the communication sciences, and the languages. We are confident that our graduates have acquired relevant skills and knowledge to become effective leaders in the rapidly changing workplace of the world and can take on many of the careers that involve working with people. We are proud this year to be part of awarding several honorary doctorates to illustrious scholars, outstanding citizens, and social and political change agents who all embody the true spirit of the humanities in encouraging us to think constructively and humanely, and to be brave, resilient, and proactive in driving transformative interventions in our society and beyond. They serve as role models for all of us who want to see a great University of Johannesburg, a great South Africa, and a great Africa. With these remarks, I conclude by warmly congratulating our graduates of 2025 and add that I hope your time with us at UJ has inspired you to strive for a better life and a better world, one that is compassionate, socially just, ethical, peaceful, and highly productive. I thank you. Kia leboga, nyabonga, baie dankie. Chancellor, I now introduce you the candidates who complied with all the requirements for the respective qualifications in order for you to confer or award such qualifications.
By virtue of the powers vested in me, I will now confer and award the respective qualifications on the candidates introduced to me by the Executive Dean and to the candidates who are absent but who have complied with all the requirements for the qualifications. Kragtens de bevoegdhede aan my toevertrou, sal ek nou aan die kandidate wat deur die uitvoerende dekaan aan my voorgestel word, sowel as aan die kandidate wat aan al die vereistes vir die kwalifikasies voldoen het, maar wat afwesig is, die kwalifikasies toeken.
To request you to confer the degree Diploma in Public Relations and Communication on the following candidate: Sipiwe Clement Mabona. Bekitemba Percy Nkosi. Sitembile Kwabe. Sisipo Sochancha. Chancellor, I'm honored to request you to confer the degree Bachelor of Arts in Strategic Communication on the following candidate: Ntika Kanti Sanwabo. Chancellor, I'm honored to request you to confer the degree Advanced Diploma in Communication Management on the following candidate: Sifiso Ntombela. Chancellor, I'm honored to request you to confer the degree Master of Arts on the following candidates: Wilma Besaidendum with distinction. How are you? Nikita Boshoff with distinction. Okay, thank you. How are you? Katiso Kolani Butelezi. Vukosi Chauke. Kalipa Noluleko Dazela. Vuyo Diko with distinction. Ntobeko Arnold Lamini. Sipokazi Duma. Mercy Gacheri Gitonga. Nomvuyo Nomsa Hussein. Orapaleng Daniel January. Emlyn Vaughan Jordan. Fazile Prince Jwara with distinction. Bilonda Divine Kate. Thank you. Aneta Kanyayo with distinction. Annie Mbali Kumalo with distinction. Sipo Ernest Mackenzie with distinction. Zenzele Oscar Madlala. How do you say? Zwitwao Vivian Makuvu. Irene Mamatlu Manyau. Tsefogatso Sarah Mashao. Thank you, thank you. Victory Mashishi with distinction. Emmanuel Matambo. Nolan Mundlovu. Zianda Mashlauli. Penrose Lungiswa Molochwa. Brilliant Tobesi Ngwabe. Tabiso Mohashu. Karabo Mokosi. Katlejo Konoswang Wakwatsi. Shlangiwe Constance Molefe. Pabalo Precious Molefe. Wendy Motata with distinction. Lesejo Happy Motsache. Cabello Motswache with distinction. Stanley Maruva. Can we go to the VC? Annalisa. Annalisa Ndamase with distinction. Tinashe Matabisi Ndlovu. Tembisile Kanyisile Dobe. Oh, how do you say this? Patuchetsu. How do you say your name? Patuchetsu Masala. Patuchetsu Masala Nemakonde. Hi, how are you? Good. You look there. Camera. Lerato Prudence Ntebele. Kensani Sarah Ntlemo. Timangadso Patela. Mashlatse Tato Mpofu with distinction. Hi, how are you? How do I say your second name? Mikhailo. Nice to see you, Dimarco Mikhailo Pillay. Molale Innocentia Ramaifo with distinction. Dineo Johannes Rasekula. Vuyo Sabani. Lebohang Mavis Sakete. How do you say it? Leteboho Senyane with distinction. Chancellor, today we also take honor in awarding Leteboho Senyane with the Chancellor's Medal for one of the most meritorious master's studies in the Faculty of Humanities for the academic year of 2024. You are you are requested to present the prize. You are requested to present the prize. Yeah. Muzi Sitole. Tulani Siziba. How are you? Lemise Ledine Deandre Stein with distinction. Martha Temba with distinction. How do you say your second name? Motlatle Moshopiadi Tsebe. Chancellor, I'm honored to request you to confer the degree Chancellor, I'm honored to request you to confer the degree Master of Philosophy in Social Policy and Development on the following candidate. Nomkosi Precious Gumede. No, I don't need it. You keep it to me. Intswaki Mapela. Nompumalelo Maseko. Prof. Tuchedzwa Ramaswila. Stand here, you have to wait for a while, right? Just stand here. Chancellor, I'm honored to request you to confer the degree Doctor of Philosophy on the following candidates. Chancellor, I have the honor of presenting Zamaswazi Fakude, who has complied with all the requirements for the degree Doctor of Philosophy in Sociology with a thesis entitled Examining the Social Biographies of Social Activists, the Hidden Narratives of Organic Intellectualism in Kwatema Township, South Africa, prepared under the supervision of Professor C.M. Twaedi and the co-supervision of Professor S. Yung Gwanku. I now request the supervisor to read out an abstract of the study.
Chancellor. Township activism rooted in marginalized South African communities represents a critical form of grassroots resistance and intellectual leadership. This study examines the Thabang Xaba Foundation in Kwatema Township through the lens of organic intellectualism. It conceptualizes TXF's activism, which is Thabang Xaba Foundation, as contextual organic intellectualism, a fluid and adaptive extension of Gramsci's theory. This framework recognizes that intellectual leadership is shaped by class, gender, life histories, and local struggles. Using a life history methodology, the research traces how Thabang Xaba Foundation members' lived experiences inform their emergence as community leaders and knowledge producers. The findings challenge the dominant tendency to marginalize township-based struggles within broader resistance movements, arguing that contextual organic intellectualism better accounts for the complex and constrained conditions under which TXF activists operate. This framework acknowledges that township activists do not merely emerge as intellectuals from their class position, but from intersecting social experiences that shape their ability to resist hegemonic structures.
Chancellor, I now request you to confer the degree Doctor of Philosophy in Sociology on this candidate.
Thank you. By virtue of the powers vested in me, I now confer the degree Doctor of Philosophy in Sociology on Zamaswazi Fakude.
Chancellor, I have the honor of presenting Trevor Shlungwani, who has complied with all the requirements for the degree Doctor of Philosophy in Strategic Communication with a thesis entitled In Search of a New Public Sphere, the Manifestation of Social Political Movements on Online Media, prepared under the supervision of Professor M.J. Khadebe. I now request the supervisor to read out an abstract of the study.
Chancellor, Mr. Trevor Hlongwane's study examines the socio-political movement acts as a vehicle for marginalized to engage in a democracy through protest, media representation. The study explores how these movements negotiate communication with power and how South African online news media frame them. Using qualitative triangulation, content analysis, and interviews, the study finds that public sphere remains exclusive, limiting marginalized voices. Analyzing news from 2019 to 2022, the study focuses on Operation Dudula and Abahlali baseMjondolo, revealing that online media portrays these movements negatively and often using violence and morality frames. The political economy of the media still favors the ruling classes, sidelining movement members. Interviews shows that these movements use online platforms to create counter-publics. The study recommends that media platforms must include subaltern voices to foster an inclusive public sphere. It argues that transforming media representation is crucial for achieving true participatory democracy, especially in a country still grappling with historical injustices.
Chancellor, I now request you to confer the degree Doctor of Philosophy in Strategic Communication on this candidate.
Thank you, thank you. By virtue of the powers vested in me, I now confer the degree Doctor of Philosophy in Strategic Communication on Trevor Hlongwane.
Just breathe. Chancellor, I have the honor of presenting Christabella Ntabiseng Latagomo, who has complied with all the requirements for the degree Doctor of Philosophy in Social Work with a thesis entitled Assessing the Kemoja Prevention Program as an Intervention Strategy Against Drug Misuse amongst the Youth of Gauteng Province, prepared under the supervision of Professor A.D.P. Van Prada. I now request the supervisor to read out an abstract of the study.
Chancellor, substance misuse amongst young people is an increasing concern in South Africa and globally. Dr. Latagomo sought to assess the implementation of the Kemoja Prevention Program, which was driven by the Department of Social Development. Previous studies suggested that the program was not reducing substance misuse, and she wanted to know why. She conducted interviews with learners and service providers from SANCA and the Department of Social Development. She found that the program was not embraced by schools and that learners were often pressured to attend to meet quotas. Facilitators were under-resourced, lacked materials, transport, and finance, and learners complained that facilitators knew less about substance use than they did, and that the style of the workshops did not engage them. In addition, the parents were not included in the program. Dr. Latagomo concluded that the program could be effective, but the resourcing and implementation of Kemoja needed major attention.
Chancellor, I now request you to confer the degree Doctor of Philosophy in Social Work on this candidate.
By virtue of the powers vested in me, I now confer the degree Doctor of Philosophy in Social Work on Christabella Ntabiseng Latagomo.
Chancellor, I have the honor of presenting Tsepo Bethuel Marke, who has completed all the requirements for the degree Doctor of Philosophy in Sociology with a thesis entitled Heteronormative Barriers Constructing and Negotiating Black Gay Male Identities in Traditional Male-Dominated Workplaces, under the supervision of Professor L. Smuts and the co-supervision of myself, Professor P. Raghunanan. I now request the supervisor to read out an abstract of the study.
Chancellor, South African literature critically examines the enduring discrimination faced by LGBTIQ+ individuals within heteronormative social contexts such as schools, churches, universities, and communities. However, there remains a noticeable gap in addressing the challenges experienced by gay identities in traditionally male-dominated workplaces, specifically within the South African Police Service and the South African National Defence Force. This thesis addresses this gap by investigating how heteronormative ideologies within these institutions shape the negotiation of sexual and gendered identities among Black gay men. Utilizing intersectionality, Cornell's masculinities theory, Goffman's stigma theory, and Foucault's discourse on sexuality, the study reveals persistent heteronormative discourses that regulate and influence these men's experiences. Through in-depth interviews with 24 participants, it uncovers the nuanced ways power dynamics shape their encounters with stigma, oppression, tolerance, and acceptance. This research has yielded 2 academic papers, one internationally published and another currently under review in a prominent South African journal.
Chancellor, I now request you to confer the degree Doctor of Philosophy in Sociology on this candidate.
By virtue of the powers vested in me, I now confer the degree Doctor of Philosophy in Sociology on Tsepo Bethuel Marke.
Chancellor, I have the honor of presenting Seriane Morapelli, who has complied with all the requirements for the degree Doctor of Philosophy in Strategic Communication with a thesis entitled Exploring an Effective School-Based Alcohol Prevention Health Intervention Using a Hybrid Stakeholder Inclusive and Co-Change-Orientated Communication Approach, prepared under the supervision of Professor E.N. Lubinga and the co-supervision of Professor S.H. Chiumbu. I now request the supervisor to read out an abstract of the study.
Chancellor, Seriane's thesis explored and proposed an effective school-based alcohol prevention health intervention using a hybrid stakeholder-inclusive and co-change-oriented communication approach. Her thesis highlighted the rising trend of adolescents' alcohol consumption in South Africa. There are over 12 million school-aged adolescents having consumed alcohol from the age of 13 years or younger, well below the legal age of 18. The thesis examined the role of effective communication in school-based alcohol prevention interventions, highlighting key attributes for a collaborative and inclusive approach. Using a concurrent mixed methods research design, 215 surveys were conducted with early adolescents in Johannesburg, primary schools, and 13 interviews with multiple stakeholders. The study found that early adolescents had positive attitudes towards alcohol and engaged in its consumption. Diverse stakeholders emphasized the importance of dialogue and collaboration in preventing underage drinking, and the findings offer valuable insights into effective communication within school-based alcohol prevention interventions for health promotion organizations and promotions.
Chancellor, I now request you to confer the degree Doctor of Philosophy in Strategic Communication on this candidate.
By virtue of the powers vested in me, I now confer the degree Doctor of Philosophy in Strategic Communication on Siriane Murapidi.
Chancellor, I have the honor of presenting Aniki Moshlabine Motluotsi, who has complied with all the requirements for the degree Doctor of Philosophy in Strategic Communication with a thesis entitled Stakeholder Inclusivity of African Traditional Health Practitioners into Converged Health Crisis Communication, a co-creational framework prepared under the supervision of Professor E.N. Lubinga.
Chancellor, in her thesis, Aniki explored the communicative agency and potential inclusion of African traditional health practitioners into converged health crisis communication in South Africa. She used a convergent parallel design, a mixed methods approach, and the study collected data from 425 South Africans, as well as 11 diverse stakeholders, including ATHPs, Traditional Health Association members, traditional healthcare users, and traditional leaders, amongst others. Most of her participants indicated that African traditional health practitioners Most of her participants indicated that if African traditional health practitioners were included earlier in the development of health crisis communication messages, people would use these messages to improve their health during crisis. Major findings showed that ATHP's voices are marginalized and that there is lack of government structures to incorporate them into conceptualization of health crisis communication. The study contributes to strategic communication through a proposed co-creational framework that provides a platform for the conceptualization process of health crisis communication messages that are stakeholder inclusive, multi-sectoral, flexible, accommodative, contextual, and reflective of multiple voices of stakeholders.
Chancellor, I now request you to confer the degree Doctor of Philosophy in Strategic Communication on this candidate.
By virtue of the powers vested in me, I now confer the degree Doctor of Philosophy in Strategic Communication on Aniki Mukhabine Mutloutsi.
Chancellor, I have the honor of presenting the twin brother of Dr. Matloatsi over there. Alman Matome Matloatsi, who has complied with all the requirements for the degree Doctor of Philosophy in Strategic Communication with a thesis entitled Towards an Inclusive, Sustainable, Social Innovation in Local Government through Stakeholder Engagement and Public Participation, a case of the Mopani District Municipality's new district development model, Limpopo, South Africa, prepared under the supervision of Professor C. Menkes. I now request the supervisor to read out an abstract of the study.
Chancellor, Alman Matomi Motlotsi study investigated how stakeholder engagement and public participation can be used to implement the District Development Model, DDM, as a social innovation development strategy. The study was motivated by growing public distrust of the current public participation and engagement methods evidenced by service delivery protests across South Africa. The study employed Afro-communitarianism, Ubuntu philosophy, collaborative governance, stakeholder theory, and the complexity paradigm to comprehensively account for the contextual and theoretical underpinning of service delivery decision-making in local government. The study contributes to the discipline by providing context-based, multi-stakeholder, adaptive, and collaborative strategic communication. This perspective offers a framework for understanding the complexities of implementing multi-sectoral development strategies such as the DDM. Examiners hailed the study for providing a transdisciplinary approach to a complex communication problem, specifically the integration of Ubuntu philosophy and social innovation. The study offers new insights into strategic communication theory and practice in the public sector.
Chancellor, I now request you to confer the degree Doctor of Philosophy in Strategic Communication on this candidate.
By virtue of the powers vested in me, I now confer the degree Doctor of Philosophy in Strategic Communication on Alman Matume Mutlotsi. Congratulations.
Chancellor, I have the honor of presenting Lydia Moyo, who has complied with all the requirements for the degree Doctor of Philosophy in Sociology with a thesis entitled Geopolitics of Relocating, the Integration Experiences of Zimbabwean Venda-speaking migrants residing in Pretoria, South Africa, prepared under the supervision of Professor K. Batasai and the co-supervision of Professor T. Chakonda. I now request the supervisor to read out an abstract of the study.
Chancellor, Lydia Moyo's thesis explored the geopolitics of relocation, specifically focusing on Zimbabwean migration to South Africa. Building on previous research among Shonas and Ndebeles, Lydia analyzed 30 Zimbabwean Venda migrants' integration experiences in Mamelodi, Atteridgeville, and Oliven in Pretoria. Bourdieu's capital theory and Grant-Venter's theory of weak and strong ties were complementarily employed to examine migrants' integration experiences, using commonalities in the Venda language to either smoothly integrate or camouflage their Venda identity. The participants leveraged diverse capitals and social networks, including those linked to family, religion, and Stokvels, to forge a sense of belonging. Commonalities like food, music, referred to here as rhythms of belonging, constantly reminded them of home, a nostalgic experience that exposes the complexities of integration. Technology served as a digital bridge for connecting with home and embracing their disembodied lives caught between two worlds, Zimbabwe and South Africa. Since documentation facilitates seamless integration, South Africa should promote inclusive policies and a conducive environment aimed at keeping illegal migrants properly documented.
Chancellor, I now request you to confer the degree Doctor of Philosophy in Sociology on this candidate.
By virtue of the powers vested in me, I now confer the degree Doctor of Philosophy in Sociology on Lydia Moyo.
Chancellor, I have the honor of presenting Edson Chido Mutisi, who has complied with all the requirements for the degree Doctor of Philosophy in Industrial Sociology with a thesis entitled A Comparative Analysis of the Political Economy of Online Teaching within Institutions of Higher Education in South Africa, prepared under the supervision of Professor L. Sinwell and the co-supervision of Professor P. Rugunanan. I now request the supervisor to read out an abstract of the study.
This dissertation draws from Hochschild's emotional labor theory and Freire's critical pedagogy to analyze the changing nature of academic labor under COVID-19 and emergency remote teaching. Drawing from 43 interviews, including lecturers and tutors, the dissertation compares academic labor at the University of Limpopo, the University of Cape Town, and the University of Johannesburg. This dissertation evades a simplistic interpretation since emergency remote teaching did not occur evenly within and across universities globally or in South Africa. The dissertation identifies emotional presence as a key feature of the teaching and learning process, which was practiced in a diverse range of ways amongst tutors and lecturers, thus providing support to students. The thesis argues that emotional presence must become an essential component of decolonial education more generally, since it is required to ensure justice and inclusion.
Chancellor, I now request you to confer the degree Doctor of Philosophy in Industrial Sociology on this candidate.
By virtue of the powers vested in me, I now confer the degree Doctor of Philosophy in Industrial Sociology on Edson Chido Mutisi.
Chancellor, I have the honor of presenting Sibusisiwe Ngongo, who has complied with all the requirements for the degree Doctor of Philosophy in History with a thesis entitled The History of Black Women in Social Research in South Africa in the 20th Century, prepared under the supervision of Professor N. Asop Sheikh. I now request the supervisor to read out an abstract of the study.
Chancellor. Might have to borrow the Chancellor's stool. This is ableist. I'm very proud to be here. This study, done by now Dr. Nkongo, explores the intellectual production of three remarkable Black South African women, Phyllis Ntantala, Harriet Ngubane, and Loretta Nkobo, as scholars and producers of knowledge in their own right. New and previously unused archives, she actually discovered new archives, a big deal, ground this investigation into how these women conceptualized and theorized Black women's oppression and liberation strategies using actual fieldwork, research, and theory. These women navigated their political and social contexts at home and in exile to assert their intellectual work based variously in anthropology, political sociology, and literature, and in a narrative that travels from Durban to Johannesburg to Cambridge to Wisconsin. She argues cogently that the women studied in this thesis have earned the right to be recognized for their unique scholarly insights, methodological innovations, and by generalizing their observations beyond their own class and material positions. Dr. Nkongo explores in detail how the work of each woman depicted and theorized the position of the majority of Black women in apartheid South Africa in complicated and novel ways. All I have to add is, Mfundi Nhlagenipe Gakul.
Chancellor, I now request you to confer the degree Doctor of Philosophy in History on this candidate.
Thank you. By virtue of the powers vested in me, I now confer the degree Doctor of Philosophy in History on Sibusisiwe Ngongo. Well done.
Chancellor, I have the honor of presenting Quincy Pule, who has complied with all the requirements for the degree Doctor of Philosophy in Sociology with a thesis entitled The Impact of Street-Level Bureaucracy on Health Services Provision at Freer Hospital in East London, South Africa, prepared under the supervision of Professor K. Batasai and the co-supervision of Professor I.A. Palmery. I now request the supervisor to read out an abstract of the study.
Chancellor. Focusing on Freer Hospital, Queen's illuminates the centrality of street-level bureaucracy in the provision of healthcare services in the public sector, healthcare sector. Guided by LIP's street-level bureaucracy as the theoretical framework, the thesis reveals how street-level bureaucracy unfolds and shapes the treatment of patients at Freer. Queen's conducted semi-structured interviews with 20 Freer frontline healthcare workers, referred to here as street-level bureaucrats, and 10 patients, complemented by non-participant observation. The thesis attributes Freer's challenges to staff shortages, centralizing staffing, insufficient budget, shortage of beds and equipment, poor infrastructure, unnecessary referrals, influx of patients, competing demands, multiple roles, multitasking, skewed record keeping, poor planning by the Provincial Department of Health, and poor relations between Freer and the Provincial Department of Health. To ensure the provision of high-quality healthcare, FRAIR should eliminate red tape and expedite staff appointments, staff through management should contribute towards budget planning, and the Eastern Cape Department of Health should not base the budget on historical allocations.
Chancellor, I now request you to confer the degree Doctor of Philosophy in Sociology on this candidate.
By virtue of the powers vested in me, I now confer the degree Doctor of Philosophy in Sociology on Quincy Pule.
Chancellor, I have the honor of presenting Sasambal Reuben, who has complied with all the requirements for the degree Doctor of Philosophy in Social Work with a thesis entitled Advancing the Theory of Care Leaving, the Psychosocial Resilience Processes of Young People Transitioning Out of Residential Care in South Africa, prepared under the supervision of Professor A.D.P. van Breda. I now request the supervisor to read out an abstract of the study.
Chancellor. Sasambal Reuben has had a long career in child and youth care work, where she has seen the challenges that young people face transitioning out of residential care. In her doctoral thesis, she strives to develop and advance the theory of leaving care by taking an emerging theory that was previously developed in South Africa and subjecting it to closer scrutiny. This has both validated the rigor of the theory itself and resulted in a deepening and refinement of the theory. She finds, for example, that the theme of contextualized responsiveness entails a young person's cognitive appraisal of their environment, their critical reflection on past mistakes to avoid making them again, and a thoughtful and purposeful navigation of risks. Her findings contribute not only to the very small body of care-leaving theory, but also to the kinds of support social workers can offer to young people as they transition out of care.
Congratulations. Chancellor, I now request you to confer the degree Doctor of Philosophy in Social Work on this candidate.
By virtue of the powers vested in me, I now confer the degree Doctor of Philosophy in Social Work on Sasambal Reuben.
Chancellor, I have the honor of presenting Arijita Santra, who has complied with all the requirements for the degree Doctor of Philosophy in English with a thesis entitled Between Self and Community, a discussion of selected Black, South African and Dalit Indian women's autobiographies, prepared under the supervision of Professor S.R. Ngadi. I now request the supervisor to read out an abstract of the study.
Chancellor, in her thesis, Arijita Santra conducts a comparative study of a selection of autobiographies by Black, South African, and Indian Dalit women, taking her cue from Gillian Whitlock's call for a politics and an ethics of reading across autobiographic works as contact zones characterized by similar political concerns and textual strategies. It is this approach that she brings to her study of the autobiographies of Black South African and Indian Dalit women as resistance or counter-narratives, but also as opening up new spaces for the imagination of equality. Throughout her discussion, she remains mindful of what Whitlock calls the local and contingent, and to this end, she examines important lines of convergence and divergence between and across the 6 autobiographies that she discusses in her study. To achieve this, she adopts an analytical strategy by means of which she foregrounds both the spatial and conceptual locations in which the autobiographies circulate.
Chancellor, I now request you to confer the degree Doctor of Philosophy in English on this candidate.
By virtue of the powers vested in me, I now confer the degree Doctor of Philosophy in English on Arijita Santra. Congratulations, please.
Chancellor, I have the honor of presenting Vincent Katlejo Skeepers, who has complied with all the requirements for the degree Doctor of Philosophy in Sociology with a thesis entitled A Sociological Analysis of Police Responses to Male Victims of Rape in Johannesburg, South Africa, a study of the police service in post-apartheid South Africa, prepared under the supervision of Professor L. Smuts and the co-supervision of Professor A. Brown. I now request the supervisor to read out an abstract of the study.
Chancellor, male rape remains a significant yet overlooked human rights issue in South Africa, particularly within the broader context of gender-based violence. This qualitative study explores how South African police officers respond to male victims of rape through the lens of intersectionality theory and Cornell's hegemonic masculinity framework. Interviews with 14 SAPS officers revealed barriers male victims face in seeking justice, including stigma, entrenched myths about reporting, and rigid masculinity norms that hinder police support. The study also highlights the unique challenges of gay male victims who navigate both homophobia and restrictive gender expectations. These findings highlight the need for more empathetic policing, personal transformation amongst officers, and systemic reforms in South Africa's patriarchal criminal justice system. By emphasizing diverse narratives on masculinity and victimhood, the research advances an African feminist perspective on justice and support for male survivors.
Chancellor, I now request you to confer the degree Doctor of Philosophy in Sociology on this candidate.
By virtue of the powers vested in me, I now confer the degree Doctor of Philosophy in Sociology on Vincent Katlejo Skeepers.
Chancellor, I have the honor of presenting Nyeradzo Nelly Zembe, who has complied with all the requirements for the degree Doctor of Philosophy in Sociology with a thesis entitled Youth Resilience in South Africa, an Africa Tikkun Child and Youth Development Program case study, prepared under the supervision of Professor Al Graham and the co-supervision of Professor K. Batasai. I now request the supervisor to read out an abstract of the study.
Chancellor. Dr. Zembe's thesis contributes to resilience research in the Global South. Her work explores the relationship between after-school programs and academic performance using a resilience framework. Her research addresses a critical gap in understanding how after-school programs indirectly support educational outcomes in disadvantaged communities. The study's methodology is noteworthy for its transformative approach, involving young people themselves in validating the findings, ensuring the voices of those directly impacted by the programs were heard and valued. Through this transformative approach, and by framing after-school programs within a resilience framework, she offers valuable empirical evidence and theoretical insights into how after-school programs foster resilience amongst young people in impoverished settings. This perspective highlights the indirect pathways through which after-school programs contribute to academic success, emphasizing non-academic activities. The examiners commended the thesis for being robust and innovative. The findings advance theoretical understanding of resilience and position these programs as important vehicles for social justice.
Chancellor, I now request you to confer the degree Doctor of Philosophy in Sociology on this candidate.
By virtue of the powers vested in me, I now confer the degree Doctor of Philosophy in Sociology on Nyaradzo Neli Zembe.
The graduates have spoken. Let's give them another one. Graduates, I'm going to know the graduates. So,
So thank you. Our master's graduates, we cut the song short. We will complete it when you come back. In case there are people who don't understand the craze about this song, this is an adaptation of a Sotho wedding song. In the original version, the bride is pleading with the father for a marital blanket, but not just a marital blanket, a royal marital blanket. Of course, in the context of today, we are talking now not about the marital blanket. Well, in some cases we might be, but we are talking about the blanket of education. So to all our graduates today, and for today only, you are our beautiful brides. As we close today's ceremony, I know what a privilege it is to address you in the functionary role of Chancellor. It has been a wonderful experience to witness our graduates and to celebrate your achievement with you and your loved ones here today. It has already been stated that this was not an easy journey, but nevertheless, you did it. You are here today because of your commitment and your hard work, but also because of the support of the people who kept you going. Your family, your friends, your loved ones, and your community have all invariably contributed towards your success. Now I'm going to ask you graduates to give these wonderful people here who represent your support system a big round of applause. To graduate is a decisive milestone that sets one on a trajectory of empowerment. I must also emphasize the Vice-Chancellor's words that this is indeed an impressive achievement. The grim truth is that many facets of our population are not afforded such opportunities. A 2021 report by the Department of Higher Education and Training indicates that just 6% of the South African population holds a degree. In our vast population, many do not make it into high school, let alone to matric, while less than 70% of students who obtain a bachelor's pass enroll at a university. At this university, the University of Johannesburg, we received more than 700,000 applications for the previous year, for only 10,900 spaces. And this picture is the same throughout all our universities. Although we are living through uncertain times and witnessing the world around us changing, we know that we have prepared you to navigate this terrain and that you have a solid foundation upon which to build your future. We hope that you will use the knowledge acquired here to contribute to solving societal problems. This year, the University of Johannesburg celebrates its 20th anniversary. And as we consider what the University of Johannesburg has achieved in only 20 years as a higher education institution, I know that you too, as graduates of this inspiring university, you will similarly go on to achieve significant milestones in your careers and in your lives. We look forward to seeing you grow professionally, intellectually and ethically, and as committed and respected global citizens. I wish to thank our academic and support staff for the role they have played in your journey. Without the perseverance of people who are here and others who are around our university, you would not have been here today. So I would like also for our academic staff and all the support staff who are present, for us to give them a big round of applause. Once again, congratulations on this tremendous achievement. Go out there and set an example as a graduate of this inspiring university. Be our best ambassadors and spread the word that UJ is an excellent place of learning. Remember to stay in touch by joining our alumni. We hope to see you again when furthering your studies or as an active alumni. I thank you. Ke a leboga. Baya danki, ngiyabonga. Bagaetsho, you are now requested to stand up for the singing of the national anthem.
Ponha